Welcome to the next video lesson, engineering mechanics subject, and today's topic is again simple stress and strains. Let us continue the previous topic, that is stress, and we have started what is stress, everything destination with the stress in the last class. Now let us proceed further in this one. So on completion of this period, you will be able to state different types of stresses and distinguish between types of stresses. So different types of stresses and distinguish different types of stresses means the difference between the different types of stresses. Now what we have discussed in the last class, just recall what we have discussed in the last class. So that is, in the last class we have discussed about we started with the strain, basic concept of strain. Stress, not strain. Stress we have started, and we have defined the stress, right? And we have designed and with along with units, everything. What is stress? How it is? Right, units of the stress, everything. So what is stress? So it is generally, it is whatever stress we have discussed, that we call it as a simple stress. So stress, what is the stress? What is the definition of stress? So stress is nothing but the resistance offered by the body against the external force, okay, against the external loads or against the deformation per unit area is called as a stress. That is the definition of a stress that we have discussed in the last class. Okay, so means resistance offered by the body against the external loads. Of course, we have discussed about the external loads per unit area. That should be there per unit area. Okay, then it is nothing but your definition, complete definition. So mathematically, that stress is expressed as sigma. Generally, it is denoted with either sigma or F. That is, stress is denoted with the letter sigma or F. So generally we use the most used term is sigma. Generally is sigma. We used in the last class, it is stress. So that is nothing but simple stress. Stress is equal to stress sigma is equal to P by A. So where what is P? P is nothing but external load or applied load, where A is nothing but area of the cross section or cross section area. So units of stress are nothing but very simple. So need not mug it up anything, just very simple. So what is the units of load? Load or a force. Force units are newtons, that we already know, right? What is the area units? Meter square or millimeter square or centimeter square, whatever it is. But generally it is Newton per meter square is most common unit that we express. That's why we have written Newton per meter square. Doesn't mean that only Newton per meter square is the unit. You can express in terms of Newton per millimeter square, Newton per centimeter square, depends on the given units. You can convert into any desired required units, right? So that is you can do that one. We have discussed something about conversion, right? What is megapascal, gigapascal, kilopascal? We have discussed about it. So it's nothing but so units of stress, that is Newton per meter square, Newton per meter square. So any units, desired units, you can express the stress. Now coming to the actual today's topics, let us enter what today's discuss about today's topic. So types of stresses. So what are the different types of stresses? Now let us, according to the type of the body, whether one dimensional or two dimensional or three dimensional on which they act. Okay, so one dimensional stress, two dimensional, three dimensional means the body may be subjected to only along one dimension, means one direction. Right, that is nothing but one dimensional. Is two directional means along the two orient along two from the two directions it is stress is acting. That is nothing but two dimensional. It is all three dimensions subjected to stresses, then in the three dimensional. Right. So according to the nature of stress itself, tensile stress, compressive stress, right, shear stress, and also bending stress also there. Right, now let us discuss about the one dimensional stress. Right, so it is the stress developed in one direction. Stress developed in the one direction. It is also known as a uniaxial stress. Okay, only in one direction. Now see this one. Along its length, it is simply an acting, a force is acting toward this side, both sides. It is sigma only along the one direction, only this phase, only one direction. Okay, so understood. So only one direction means only one phase, not here, not here, or here. You are not only along one plane. We can say simply we can say that one plane, only one plane. Example: thin rods, wires under tension. If a wire is subjected to an, if you pull it, or then it will be subjected to one dimensional stress. For example, thin rods, very thin. A short column under central compressive loading. Okay, a short column under central compressive loading means axial loading. Okay, central means axial compressive load. Two-dimensional stress. It is a stress developed in two directions. It is also known as biaxial, along the two axes like this. Okay, this is subjected to both sides sigma x, and these directions sigma y, means along the x direction as well as y direction, two plane. The stress is subjected to stresses on two planes, x plane and y x direction, y direction. Total it is subject to xy plane. Previously only along the x direction, means only one plane, right? Examples: thin plates, two-dimensional tension at the very thin plates. Okay, plates. Clearly it was wires, now it is plates. Plates is nothing but having some width and length and width, but thickness is very negligible, means third dimension is negligible. So that type of member subjected to two-dimensional tension. Thin shells under membrane stress. Okay, and a flexible plastic bag holding water, right? So these are the examples for the two-dimensional stress. Now let us see the third one, three-dimensional stress. So it is the stress developed in three directions. It is also known as triaxial stress. Okay, all along three planes. X plane, X direction, Y direction, not plane, X direction, Y direction, and along Z direction. All three directions. A solid immersed in water. A body is immersed in water. So all three directions, it is the water pressure acts on the body. There is nothing but pressure, three-dimensional pressure. Now come to the other type of stress, that is a tensile stress. Consider a straight bar of length L, right? Uniform cross section A, like this. So this is L and cross section area. Here it is uniform, of course, uniform cross section area means total. This dimension is same, total along entire length. Right? It is subjected to tension, means pulling. Tension means pull. So both sides a load, a tension of P. Right? It is subjected to a load of P. Okay. So bar subjected to tension just before application of load. This is a before application of load. Now after application, what happened? Just you observe it. What change you can observe from the first A to diagram, figure A and figure B. What is the difference? Can you able to find any difference between A and B? Right? Right. Yes, your observation is nothing but right. So it's nothing but the bar is, you see here L, here in this case length is L1. What happened? Because of this pull or tension, generally pull or tension, If it is this pulling means it is you are stretching the body. It elongates due to tension, tensile force or tension. Okay, so the body elongated. So increased length is increased. Previously, let's say this was the length. Now it is increased this side this much, this side. Of course, both sides shall be same because of P is same, but this diagram is not symmetrically adjusted. That is the thing. Don't think that one side is less, one side is more. Both sides it will be subjected to same amount of elongation on both sides because the load is same. Right. So ball is elongated. Elongated means extended, extension, deformed along its length, increased. The length is increased from L to L1. If it is the load, if the member is subjected to tensile force, means that is, see this, it is away from the member. Load acting away from the member is nothing but tension. Load acting towards the member, that we are going to discuss in next topic. Okay, next slide. So this is nothing but tension. When a member is load, if you are shown, the arrow mark is shown away from the member. Away from the member is nothing but tension or tensile force. Right? So because of this tensile force, what is happening? The bar elongates. Okay, what happening? Bar elongates. Means the length change in length takes place. What happens? Change in length either compressed or elongates. Elongates due to tensile force. The member elongates. Means increase in length takes place because you are pulling with a force of pulling. So obviously it will tries to elongate. Okay, the member elongates and increase in length takes place. Right? What type of force this is a tensile force. Due to this tensile force, the bar is subjected to elongation. Right? Increase in length takes place. Right? So due to this increase in length in one direction along the line of action of the force, the bar increases. Right? The bar increases, the length increases. But what about this perpendicular direction? This dimension, right? So this will be, this also changes there. Here in this case, along this length load application direction, change in length is there. Here it is from previously it is from here to here only, but is this side increase this much, this side increase this much. Okay, both sides of course same because the load is same. Both sides shall be same only, right? So it increases. Change in length takes place on both sides. Right? Obviously, what happens along this perpendicular direction? This is a line of action. This remember, let us say this one is initially you take it as a D. Let us assume that this the diameter or size is D. When after application of load, what happens with this dimension? Increases or decreases or no change? Just tell me the answer. Just think about it. What happens with this dimension? When a member is, just I will repeat the question. A member of length L and this dimension, let us say D. Okay, this dimension D. If you apply that a tension or pull, this length is changed from increased L to L1. Right? At the same time, what happens to this dimension? Means this dimension. Whether increases or decreases or no change. Just you think, very simple experiment you might have observed in so many cases in your daily life. You might have observed, if you take a simple normal rubber bands, if you just try to pull it, okay, with both hands, keeping both hands, you try to stretch it, right? What happens? You observe it, right? So if you stretch it, yes, you might have observed it, right? So if you stretch it, what happens? Along this direction of the force, along the what direction you are at, you are applying the force, along that direction, the length is increases or dimension increases. Along that direction, the dimension increases. Change in length, change in dimension takes place. At the same time, in other direction, perpendicular to your application of load, there will be some change in length will be there. Right? There will be some change in length. Obviously. Maybe less, maybe very less, but there shall be some change in dimension will be takes place. That depends on type of member, of course. Right? So change in length will be takes place. What happens? Change in dimensions, whether it increases or decreases? Yes, it is decreases. Along the other dimension, that decreases. Along this dimension, it increases. Right? But now keep it aside, the second part what you have discussed, that is other dimension decreases. Just for time being, you forget about, let us discuss it later on. We are having a separate topic on this one. Okay, so while discussing that, I will explain a little more about that one. Now, restrict yourself now only to this part, that if you apply a pull, the change in length increases. That's it. As of now, you remember that one. Right? Yes. Okay. Increase in length is equal to how much? This increase in length, how much it is increased? So increase here, we have observed that it is increased on both sides. Of course, same amount increases. How much it increases? That is nothing but change in length or increase. In this case, length increases. That's why we are saying that increase in length. Okay, so increase in length is equal to, or the simple say, if you don't know increase or decrease, just say that change in length. Okay, change in length. Change in length is equal to how much? Final length minus initial length. Okay, final length means after application of load, this is nothing but L1, and L is nothing but initial length before application of load. Just before application of the load, that is length is L, and after application of the load, the length is nothing but L1. Then what is the change in length? Change in length is equal to final length minus initial length, that is L1 minus L1. L. That is nothing but change in length. We denote it with L, delta L. Okay, delta L. Right? So if you want to give it some sign convention, let us say if you want, if we can assume anything, if you want to assume increase in length as plus, decrease in length as minus, you can assume anything. There is no hard and fast that you have to observe only this sign convention you have to follow. So there is, as per your wish and will, we can observe it. Right? So change in length, if we generally for tension, we assume that positive. For compression, we assume, let us assume negative. That's all. Let us keep it like that. Just we remember. Okay. As of now, we don't require this part, plus and minus. Right. So this is nothing but change in length is equal to L1 minus L. Right. So final length minus initial length. If the bar is subjected to a pair of collinear forces, of course, once we just recall your about the different types of forces, classification of forces we have discussed in the first unit, that is force system. So in that one we have discussed about this collinear forces, means all are acting along the same line. Okay, that is nothing but collinear forces. Acting means collinear and equal forces, parallel, acting on opposite directions and away from the bar. The force is known as tensile force or pull. Okay, collinear forces. Okay, a pair of collinear forces of equal magnitude. A pair of collinear forces of equal magnitude, they acting in opposite directions and away from the bar. The force is known as tensile force or pull. Okay, when the bar is subjected to a tensile force, the length of the bar increases or tends to increase. Of course, at some point of load, there may not be, you may not observe, even if you apply a tensile load, you may not able to observe any increase in length, because that will be well below its limits. Okay, even that application of the amount of load what you are applied on that member may not be sufficient to deform the member. Okay, that's what it is. Tends to increase. Okay, it always doesn't mean that if you apply tensile load, always it will deforms. You can see the deformation. Maybe or may not be possible. That depends on amount of the load on that particular member, how much you are applied the load. That is nothing but quantity of the load or magnitude of the load. Right? So that's what he said. When the bar is subjected to tensile force, the length of the bar increases or tends to increase. Means trying to increase the member, increase the length of the member. May or may not able to observe it. Okay, may or may not able to there. That much of deformation may or may not be there. But the load is acting. Right? So if you let us say if we take a pencil here, I am pulling it both sides, but still if you don't find any change in length here, still it doesn't mean that I am not applying load. I am applying the load, but there will not be any deformation, change in length or increase in length is there, because that load, whatever amount of load I am applying, that may not be sufficient to increase the length. Okay, that is the meaning of that one. Okay, but it is trying to increase, means tends to increase. Okay, this force is trying to pull the member away from each other, away from this one, this side, and this one's pulling. There is nothing pulling, right? Like this, both sides pulling like this. Right? That is trying to increase. That's what the sentence. It is the resistance induced in the section to axial pull P acting normally across the section. Then what is the tensile stress is nothing but it is a resistance induced in the section to axial pulls or tension acting normally across section. One more thing, normal to the section. Normal means perpendicular to the section. Yeah, if you see this an angle, it is nothing but normal to the section. That's what is normally across the section. Acting normally across section means the application of the is nothing but it is acting normal, perpendicular to the member. Okay, that is nothing but normal force. Okay, normal. It is a resistance induced because of this normal force P. Okay, at this point, that there will be some resistance will be induced across the section. Means if you take this section or this section, wherever it is, along the entire length, it will be subjected to some resistance. It is there will be some resistance is induced. Load is applying, obviously there will be some resistance. Induced means internally developed. Okay, the resistance developed means that is nothing but induced. Okay, the resistance induced in the section to axial pulls. Axial pulls means these are axial pulls. Axial, one more thing is an axial term. One more term. Axial means load acting along the axis of the member, along the centroid of the member. We can say now you know the centroid. So now we can say is the load acting along the centroid of the member, right? So this is nothing but if we take this is let us say this is this dimension. Let us assume that 10. Okay, so 10 m. So where centroid lies 5 means equal distance from here 5 here 5 because it is a rectangle. So it means that from the midpoint that is load acting. That's nothing but centroid. Okay, from this through the centroid it is acting. That is nothing but axial load. Okay, along the axis means it is centroidal axis. We can say that my axis means centroidal axis. Along the centroidal axis of the member, the load is acting. That is nothing but that's simply in normal general term. We don't say that every time centroidal axis. It is along the axis of the member the load acts. Then that load we are calling it as a axial load. That is nothing but axial pull. Okay, in this case it is a pull. Pull means tension. Tensile force. Okay. Here if you see this free body diagram at a section XX, we are taking a free body diagram. So here load is there. This is area of cross section. This is area of cross section at this point A. Right. Here it is area of cross section A. And this direction what is showing that there is nothing but stress. Okay. Stress induced, that is nothing but sigma T. Because it is a tension, tensile stress, that's why it is sigma suffix T. Okay, subscript. Not suffix, it is a subscript. Okay, sigma subscript T. Sigma subscript C means compression. Sigma subscript T means tension. Okay, most of the time So we use this subscript. Based on the subscript only, you should be able to know that what type of stress it is induced. Okay, sigma subscript T, tension, tensile stress. Sigma subscript C, compression. Sigma subscript B, bending. Right. So of course, shear it is different. We use the different term. We use the term tau. So that is a different term. So forget about it. Right. For time being. Right. Now let us see only sigma T and sigma C for time being. Okay. So this is nothing but sigma T. Tensile stress. It is subjected to what type of stress? Tensile stress. After if you cut any section, not only here, anywhere if you cut it, so the stress will be same. Okay. So how much stress? So that it will balance the external. What amount of stress it is developed? So that is nothing but it will show that it will be the entire this part will be in equilibrium condition. Okay. So that amount of stress it will be develops. Now how to calculate the stress? Let us see. The tensile stress results in the elongation or increase in the length of the bar. Okay, the tensile stress results in elongation, means because of elongation or increase in length, what type of stresses develop? Tensile stresses. Because we are applying the load, increase in length takes place or elongation taking place. Because of elongation, what type of what type of stresses develops? That is nothing but tensile stresses are developed. That is nothing but tensile stresses results in the elongation of the increase in length of the bar. That's the meaning. This tensile stress is denoted with the sigma T. That's what we are discussing. Sigma subscript T. Okay. Yeah. Now how to calculate the tensile stress? So it's nothing but we know that mathematical expression how to calculate the stress. Stress is mathematically expressed as stress is equal to load by cross section area, load by unit area, right? So in this one, load is how much? What is the load? P divided by cross section area A. Okay, so that's why you express the tensile. That's how we calculate the tensile stress sigma T. Tensile load, what is the amount of load that is applied divided by area of the cross section. From where this has come? So already we know that stress is equal to how much? What is the formula? P by A. We have already discussed in previous class. Stress is equal to sigma by A. Sorry, sigma is equal to P by A. Load by area. This is nothing but lower by area. If it is tensile load, tensile force. If it is tensile stress is required, tensile load by area cross section. If it is a compressive force by cross section. The formula remains same, but this term changes. That's all. If this changes, this changes. Right. Now let us see this one. So sigma T is equal to P by A. Of course, this is P by A, not like this one. It shall be here. It is. This shall come here. So P by A. Right. Units. Whatever be that stress. Whatever may be the type of stress, there may be n number of different types of stresses may be there. So whatever the type of stress, the units are remain same. That is either Newton per millimeter square or Newton per meter square or kilonewton per meter square or Newton per centimeter square. Whatever the different, it can be any type of stress. The units will be remain same. Now come to the compressive stress. The same thing, very similar to your previous tensile stress what you have discussed. But only thing is that the direction of load different. That's all. If we change the direction of load, remaining everything is just like what we have discussed in the previous one. That is tensile stresses. Right. So consider a straight bar of length L, just like previous one, with uniform cross sectional area A, like this. A bar subjected to compression or compressive force. Okay. Compression or compressive force, both one and same. Just before application of the load. This is the before application of the load, but we are only showing the load here, not applying the load. Okay, just it is nothing but it is subjected to a load of P and a length of L and area of cross section, right, all along the, because it is a uniform cross section. The area of cross section here, everywhere it is same. Okay, because of uniform size. Yeah, see this one. Now you observe. What is the difference between previous and one? First of all, what happens? What is the change from the diagram figure A to the figure B? Just you observe. What happened? Figure A. What is the difference between figure A and figure B? Is there different or it is same? Yes, it is same. It is different. How it is different? What happened? Right. Now let us discuss. Yes, just if you draw it, this is only representation point of view. I'm drawing it here. Okay, don't think otherwise. Just only for representation point of view, I'm showing to show the difference. Right. Right. So what happened? So initially the length is L. Now it is what happened? The length is decreased. Why it is decreased? Because the load is what type of load it is? Compressive load, means pushing the member. It is also called as push. Tension means pull. This means pushing the member. Okay, it is trying to pushing the member. Okay, so because of this load push, what happens? Size decreases. Okay, size decreases, length decreased. Okay, so there will be some change in dimensions takes place because of this load, compressive load also. There will be some change in dimensions takes place. If you see along the length direction, means along the direction of the load. See the previous one, original length, initial length is L. The final length is, let us say, L1. What happened? Is that decreased or increased? Yes, it is decreased. Because of this force, the length decreased. Okay, right? So this is also again one more thing. It is axial load again. Okay, this is only in axial load, just like a uniaxial load. Along the axis of the member, the load is acting. Because of this one, push. So decrease in length takes place. Okay, so what is the amount of decrease in load? So delta L is equal to again L minus L. Okay, L minus L. Change in length is equal to L minus L. So it is nothing but how much it is, but whereas in this one, decreased. The length is decrease. Change in length is decrease in length. We can say that it is a decrease in length. We have to write decrease in length. Change in length is nothing but decrease in length. Length decreases. Previous one, change in length is equal to L1 minus L. What is happening there? Increase in length. Here it is decrease in length. Now see, decrease in length is equal to L minus L. Right? So L minus L. Okay? But what happens to the other dimension that is perpendicular to this one? Similar to the last tension we have discussed about. If it is, let us say it is D, this dimension is D, let us say, what happens to this dimension in this case? Increases or decreases? Just think what happened in the case of previous one, means the tensile stress, this dimension increased or decreased? Yes, it is decreased in the case of previous in tensile stress. On tensile stress application, this dimension increased. But what about this dimension? In this case, this one. In this case, it is increases. Okay, so D1 will be greater than D. Okay, D1 will be greater than D. Whereas the previous one, D1 is less than D. Okay, original dimension is more than, or after application of load, this dimension is lesser than initial one. Whereas this one more increases. Of course, let us discuss in later on. There is separate topic is there for that one. Just to show the diagram, because we are already drawing the diagram. So just I want to show this one. Right? Yeah. Now see this. What is the definition of compressive force? Yes. If the bar is subjected to a pair of collinear forces P acting in opposite direction, towards the bar is known as a compressive force. Towards the bar. Previous case it is away from the bar. Okay. In this case it is a towards the bar. Towards means approaching towards each other. Okay, approaching towards each other. Away from each other, towards each other. Towards the bar, the force is known as a compressive force or push. Okay, pushing the bumper, pushing. This is nothing but pushing. So this bar is there, let us say. So this is, I am acting both sides. It is, let us say, it is pushing the bar. Try to push the bar. Right? That is called the compressive force. Try to compress the member. Compress means decrease. Okay. When the bar is subjected to compressive force to the length of the bar, along the length of the bar, the bar change, length of the bar decreases or tends to decrease. Your bar is subject to compressive force, the length of the bar decreases or tends to decrease. Okay, this two will not be there. So force, the length of the bar decreases or tends to decrease. May or may not be, there may or may not be any decrease in length, but it is trying to decrease. Because of this may or may not to decreases. Okay, that's what this definition. See this one. So it is, yeah, there is something wrong in the diagram. Just if can you able to observe it, just you observe it. Just you observe it. Just you observe it. So it is very wrong. It is. So bar shall be act towards each other. That's nothing. That's what is the compressive force. Here also it is same thing. So I think by mistake it is happened. Okay. So just I will change it now itself. So there will not be any confusion, further confusion. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Now you see, just I have changed the position of the arrows. That's all. Entire thing is changed. Okay. That's why it is very much. You have to be very much careful showing the arrows. Just you reverse it, the tension becomes compression. Compression becomes tension. So unnecessarily there is everything goes wrong. Right. That's why it is very much. You have to be very much careful on this showing the with arrows. There it is the resistance. What is the compressive stress? It is the resistance developed in the section to axial push acting normally across the section. So already know what is axial. We already discussed what is normal. Normal means it is perpendicular to this one. So load is acting perpendicular to this one. So that is nothing but normal load or normal. Okay, axial means along the axis of the member load is acting. Then this load is nothing but like this. The resistance, if you cut a section XX here, so it is nothing but how it is the free body diagram. It is shown with the load is acting towards the member, that is nothing but compression. See this one, it is like this. Okay, the stress along entire section. Stress means per load per unit area. Here it is a only point load. Okay, so whereas it is a UDL, uniformly distributed. It is for an area loading, because that's what it is, no Newton per millimeter square. Okay, that is nothing but stress. Or in area it develops. Don't think that only along the length or dimension. These are perpendicular to this dimension also there. Okay, so the compressive stress results in contraction or decrease in length of the bar. Contraction means decrease in length. Contraction. Okay, compressed. Contraction means decrease. So this compressive stress is denoted with the letter sigma C. If it is a tension, it is sigma T. If it is a compression, sigma C. Okay. So see this, the arrows, be careful about these arrows. If it is acting towards this means this shall be act toward this only. Then only the body, entire body will in equilibrium condition. Otherwise, one is in direction, other also in direction like previous one. So then in that case, it will be everything wrong. Okay, see this. Here is arrow towards this one. Here is arrow towards this one. Then only the body will be in equilibrium condition. Okay, that arrows, if you interchange, that's all everything goes wrong. Right? So how to calculate the compressive stress? Just like similar way, compressive load divided by cross sectional area. So what is the compressive load? Load by area, just like the formula, basic formula of stress, load by area. If it is compressive load, if you want compressive stress, compressive load by area. If it is a tensile load by area. Like this. Units are what is the type of stress? The stress units are remain same, that is Newton per millimeter square or Newton per meter square or kilonewton per meter square, like that. Right? Now let us see shear stress. So figure given below shows a cross section of two plates riveted together and subjected to two equal and opposite forces P acting tangentially across the resisting section. So a little bit of this one is, this is a force, these are two plates. So this is a rivet. So this portion is nothing but we call it the rivets. Okay. Of course, we are going to study about this in steel structures. So this is nothing but a rivet. Means two plates are connected with a, just like a bolt. Bolts normally we see very common. This one is a rivet. Okay. Just like it, one side it is pressed in this one, both sides it is hammered so that they will get fixed. Okay. So this shows showing here it is force, here it is force, but there is some distance between these two forces. This is the line of action of this force, whereas this line of this force line of action is this one. Okay, there, because of this difference in here it is, one is here, another one is here, right? So here it is acting like this, here it is acting like this. So because of this one, what happens, there will be some at this junction, because this is force, this plate is try to move this side because of this force P, and because of this force P, this plate, this force P tries to pull the plate toward this direction, and this P tries to pull the force plate towards this direction. Because of this one, this rivet is subjected to some sort of tangential stresses at the junction. Okay, tangential means across the surface. Okay, across the surface. This here it is like this, here it is like this, or similarly it is reversed. Here it is like this, here it is subjected to like this. Okay, so that's what is it. Figure below shows a section of two plates riveted together subjected to two equal and opposite forces P acting tangentially across the resisting section. So this is a resisting section. At this resisting section, this ties should be here. This is. So because it's one, what happening? You see this one. So here it is acting this direction, so it is showing this direction. Similarly, this one is right. If you both together, if you keep it, then it is nothing but both get nullified, and the P, what is called residual, I mean net force will become zero. But if it is keep it aside, if it kept aside, then it is nothing but, so this was, it is like this. It's free body diagram, right? So this force, tangential force, this force P is nothing but tangential force, means along the surface, along this surface here for this plate, along this surface for this plate along this surface it acts, right? So the tangential force acting along the section of the body is called as a shear force. Shear off means cut off. This force is trying to, this shear force is cut off the section. Shear off means cutting. Okay, try to cut off the section at the particular section. The stress which acts tangentially on a plane due to shear force is called as a shear stress. The stress, whatever stress that is developed at this part, means wherever we have discussed about at the plane, at that plane, that type of stress we are calling it as a shear stress. So generally stated with the tau. Okay, sigma s, very rarely we use this sigma s, or q is very common. Tau and q is very common. Most of this one, tau is mostly used. Most textbooks follows the symbol tau. Okay, so this is also very another one mostly used, but it is sigma s is very rarely used. Sigma s. So in the case of tension or compression, the forces act normal to the section. Hence the stresses are called normal stresses. You see the difference. The stresses are called normal stresses because the forces acting normal to the section. That's why these forces are called normal. These stresses are called normal stresses. In the case of shear that we are discussed at the end, the forces act tangential to the surface of the contact. Tangential means along the surface. Tangential means along the surface in contact. Then these are called these. Hence, shear stress is sometimes termed as a tangential stress because along the tangential direction. Means along the surface, the stress are. So that's why it is called as a tangential stress. Normal stress, tangential stress. Shear stress are sometimes termed as a tangential stresses. Whereas compression, direct tension, they are called as the normal stresses. Okay, so let us summarize what we have discussed in this class. So we have discussed about different type of stresses, that is based on the dimension or the direction of force. If it is along the one direction, then one dimensional. If it is two dimensional stresses. If it is three dimensional along the three directions, the force acts. The stresses will be developed along all three directions. Similarly, tensile stress, it is a resistance induced in the section due to the axial force P acting normal to the section, and increased stress tends to increase the length of the bar. Similarly, same thing, it is try to decrease or tends to decrease the length of the bar. Shear stress, very important. It is a stress which acts tangentially on a plane due to forces acting tangentially over a surface, tending to slide one object over another. Okay, so trying to tend means one like this. This force is, let us say, this trying to this one. This force is like this, like this. It is contact phase. Here it is. The contact phase for this one. This is between these two contacts. So it is, if anything is there, that is any member that is riveted like this, connect contact between these two like this. Let us like this. Yes. Let us say it is. Of course, you can see this one very broadly. So it is more than more length is more, but in this case, rivet will be like this. Okay, so it will be both, and at the contact surface, if you see this one, if I am pulling this one, this rivet, like this is like a connection. We try to shear off the member. Okay, so like this. So this is so be at this contact surface, whatever the stress it is developed is nothing but a shear stress, or also called as a tangential stress. Right. So very simple piece. The stress developed in two directions is called as a two-dimensional stress. Yes, yeah. The stress developed in one direction is called as a one-dimensional stress. The stress developed in the section to the axial push normally is called as a compressive stress. The resistance in the stress axial pull is nothing but tensile stress. Right. The tangential stress is acting along the section of the body is called as a shear stress. Tangential stress acting along the section is nothing but shear stress. Right. So this is very commonly asked questions. Right. So let us stop here.